All right. All right. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. Good day. My name is Oliver Blue, and today is day 189 in terms of A Course in Miracle and the workbook lessons that we are engaging in. So today, I will be your temporary guy, your temporary host, your temporary coach to lead you through the commentary of Workbook Lesson 189 out of A Course in Miracles. And I am so excited. I'm excited because you're here. Thank you for being here. These workbook lessons and commentaries are being sponsored by Truly Foundation, a nonprofit organization that is 100% dedicated to the sharing of advanced teaching, the sharing of advanced spirituality. And the Course in Miracle just is one of our resources. We use the Holy Bible as a resource. We use the Way of Mastery as a resource. We use many, many different resources that we have been blessed with in this day and time. And there are many. And so we use them to help us to bring clarity and understanding to this moment. If more than ever, we all need more clarity, more understanding about what it is, what is real, what's the deal, what is the deal. Why is it so hard to keep it real, as the song say? And so today we're going to be looking at workbook lesson 189 out of A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracle is not a this is not a religion. This is not a substitute, or we're not trying to convince you that to leave one religion for another. We're not into religion. We're into really what Romans 12 or 8 says. We're into being transformed from this world way of thinking and being conformed to the way that God thinks, to the way of truth. So we're being transformed by the renewing of our mind. That's what this process is about. It's not about religion, not about you choosing one over another. It's about waking up to reality. It doesn't matter what you name it, what you call it. You just want to know the truth. If you're like me, I just want to know what's the deal so I can align myself with the deal. And we're finding out in this journey of going through the workbook lessons out of A Course in Miracle that it's very helpful. And so if anything is helpful, what difference is what you call it? If it brings you to an awareness and a knowledge of the truth, that's all you want. That's all that matters. So, we can kick our labels to the curb, and, our old wives' tales to the curbs, and just be open. God is open. God is everywhere present. And we have to be open-minded in order to expand our awareness to what's the deal. And so here we are today talking about workbook lesson 189, and the thought that is being shared with us today is this. It says, notice now, I feel the love. Notice now, it said, I feel the love, not the love of this world, not the love that this world offers us. We're talking about the love that is the love of God, or the love of reality. I feel the love. We're talking about the purity of love. We're talking about the absoluteness of love. We're talking about the reality that God is love. And everything that is born of God is born of love. And so it says, I feel that love. It says, I feel the love of God. So the love of God can be felt. Notice now. Stay with me. It can be felt. We're not talking about our feelings, but it still can be felt. Notice now. It says, the love of God. I feel the love of God within me now. So this is an acknowledgement that the love of God is within it's within you. It's within me. In reality, the love of God is within everyone. But everyone don't acknowledge that. Everyone don't recognize that. And surely everyone don't feel that love. So here we're going to learn about the love of God that can be felt right now. and not felt in the way that we may be thinking here initially. But it says, I feel the love of God within me now. That is a possibility. That's a reality. That is what we're seeking for, to know the love of God. Because to know God and to experience God, to know yourself and to experience yourself, is what love is. It is what love is. It's to experience reality. The experience of reality is love. So that means that love can be felt. That means that reality can be felt. And maybe not in the way that we're thinking, but as we get in this, you're going to see what it means when it says, I feel the love of God, and what that means. And so let's get started. It says, there is a light in you. It says, there is a light in you that the world cannot perceive. There is a light that is present within you. And when it's talking about you here, it's talking about all humanity. It's not talking about some special group. It's not just talking about Course in Miracles students. It's just not talking about religious people. It's talking about all humanity. He said, there is a light that within all humanity that the world cannot see, cannot perceive. Perception means it don't interpret it as light. It doesn't see the light, doesn't acknowledge the light. And it's within all of us. So that's a grand statement. And Jesus even said that we are the light of the world. And this light that he talks about is a light that comes from within us. And we're not talking about from within these bodies. It comes from within our nature. It comes from in our reality. And so this light, it says, cannot be perceived by the world. And it says, and with its eyes, what eyes? The eyes that the world sees out of. It says, and in its eyes, you will not see this light. For you are blinded by the world. Okay, so let's qualify what it means when it talks about the world. Because when the Course talks about the world, it's talking about something specific. Immediately in our mind, we will be thinking about, when we say, well, what is the world? They'll say, well, the world is the earth and the atmosphere and the heavens and, the stars and the moon and all the people that live on the planet. this planet Earth. That's the world we live in. That's what we would limit what the world means here. But when the Course is talking about the world, it's not talking about anything physical. It's not talking about physicality. It's not talking about matter. It's not talking about objects. When the Course talks about the world, the Course is talking about a false perception that was given birth by a thought of separation. That's what the Course refers to as the world, because that's what the world is. The world is a false perception. In other words, this place we find ourselves in time and space, a world of perception, a world of duality. It says it's a world of perception. In other words, this world is understood by what? It is understood, or it is believed to be, by what we understand, by how we interpret it, how we perceive it, how we interpret it. Okay, and this interpretation is born out of an idea or a thought of separation. So the world was born out of an idea of separation. It wasn't born out of an idea of oneness. So that caused you to begin to think. If you really think about that, then you say, well, okay, if this world was created out of a thought system of separation and God is one, what role that God had in the creation of this world, or the making of this world? Because remember, God created everything in creation. And when God created everything in creation, there was no what? There was no matter. There was no time. There was no space. There was no objects. And then, as you see in the creation story, and then this was made, and that was made, and this was made, blah, blah, blah. And we've already talked about that this world as we know it is an attack on God. It was not created, out of the mind of God. It was created out of the mind or the thought of humanity that entertained the belief in separation, as it is depicted in this creation story, or as it is depicted in the story of the prodigal son. If you have any awareness of those, those stories. And so when we talk about the world, we're talking about a belief based on a false perception. It talks about how we perceive ourselves outside of God's perception of us, outside of God's creation of us, when we perceive ourselves to be something that we're not. For instance, our body, mind, identification. When we think that we're just a body, that's a false perception. We're more than that. In fact, we're not a body. There's a perception, there's an awareness that there's a body that we have the ability to express through. But we are not the body. The body just a device, a vehicle, a way by which we're able to express either one nature or the other. And you know what I mean. So here it says that this light that we are, it cannot be perceived by the world, by a false perception. So if we're not looking from the point of view of God, or from the point of view of love, or from the point of view of truth, or from the point of view of reality, or from the point of view of oneness, we can't see this light anywhere, let alone in yourself. No, what we're going to see, what we're going to perceive is based on separation. And love is not separate. Reality is not separate. God is not separate. Jesus is not separate. You are not separate in your reality. Nothing is separate. There's only the one. And we all share this oneness together. All of us, every living thing. And so it says that we are blinded from seeing the light because of this perception that we have about ourselves. That is not a perception that is based on what? God's vision, God's thought, God's reality, a love's reality. It says, yet we have eyes to see it. That there's a light within us, and yet we have eyes to see it. Follow along here. This is very interesting. There's light within all of us. We can't see it through the world's perception or the false identification, but we do have eyes to see it through. Let's find out what these eyes are. It says, it is there for you to look upon. The light is there for us to look upon. Okay, let's keep reading. It says, it says, it was not placed in you to be kept hidden from your sight. So the light that was placed in us at creation was not placed in us to be hidden, but to be what? To be seen, to be reflected, to be revealed. You remember Jesus in a couple of his dissertations. He said that we are the light of the world. Okay, let's follow along. Jesus not said this. This is not what we're saying about ourselves. But Jesus said that we are the light of the world. That light that we are is to light up the world, light up this. We are to bring a light and illumination and revelation to the false perception that's in the world, that the world consists of. And it says, and then Jesus said that we're like a candle. And you don't take a candle and hide it, but you take a candle and you put it on a candlestick so everybody can see. So that's what it's saying here. It says, it was not placed within you to be hidden from your sight. It says, this light is a reflection. Notice now, it says this light that is in us is a reflection of the thought. So light is a reflection of thought. We're getting deep now. Light is a reflection of thought. It said it's a reflection of the thought that we practice now, or it's a reflection of the thought that we're going to practice today, or it's a reflection. Light is a reflection of a thought of God, or every thought of God, because that's what we've been practicing for 189 days. We've been practicing these thoughts, these ideas. These are ideas and thoughts that come from God. And so we've been practicing them. And it says, so the light is a reflection of the thoughts that we've been practicing. So light in of itself comes from the thought. So what is the source of the thought? If the source of the thought is perfect love, if the source of the thought is a perfect God, then it will reflect perfection. It will reflect the source that it is being sourced by. So it says, to feel the love of God. So to feel the love of God within you is to see. Notice now, to feel is to see. To feel is to perceive. So to feel is to see a thought. So when we see the thought of God, when we see the thought of God, which is love, when we see the thought of God, which is oneness, when we see the thought of God, which is innocence, aliveness, perfection, charity, love, when we see that, we feel it. So feeling is to see or to perceive as God does. Jesus called it have the mind of Christ. God calls it the thoughts of God. The Course calls it every thought of God. And so it says, to feel the love of God, which is an experience within you, is to see the world anew. So when we see the world, which is a false perception, when we see it anew, when we see it from God's perspective, which is to see it anew, when we are born again, or when we are enlightened, or awakened to the perception, to the vision of God. When we begin to see as God sees and understand as God understands, it says that's when that is the experience of feeling. So feeling comes through the thought, to seeing a thought, understanding a thought. It says to feel the love of God within you is to see the world anew, shining in innocence. Shining in innocence, your innocence, the world's innocence. It says to feel the love of God is to see it, see the world alive with hope. It says to feel the love of God is to see the world blessed with perfect charity and perfect love. So here, just this first part here, we're learning something. That true feelings come from seeing as God sees, knowing as God knows, and understanding as God understands. So without the knowledge, the understanding, without the perception of God, we can only see a false world. We can only see a false idea. We can't see the truth. We can't see reality. And it affects the way we feel. How do you feel about yourself? How do you feel about humanity? How do you feel about this world? It's coming from your point of view. Is it your point of view the love of God? Or is your point of view this false perception of the world that is based on and is birthed out of a thought of separation, that everything is separate? So to feel is to see. How are you feeling? You're feeling the way you're seeing. And so in other words, to change your feeling, we have to change what we see or how we see. And that's what this entire workbook lesson and this entire course in miracles is all about. Changing or shifting our perception. That's what the miracle is. When we shift from the point of view or from the lens in which we see things, when we shift from one source to another. That's what forgiveness is to give up one perception for another. And that is the miracle. When we do that, and now we can see clearly because all the blocks to the awareness of love presence have been removed. We can see clearly now. The rain has gone. What is the rain? Every block that we have placed before our eyes to keep us from seeing the truth of who God is, of who we are, what the world is, who our neighbor is. That is what the rain represents. That is what the block represents. And we place them there. So we're the only one that can remove them. You're the only one that can recognize the truth that is true always. And it's in that recognition that you are enlightened to the awareness of the truth. It is in that removing of the blocks that we see differently. Everything. And now we don't look through a glass darkly, but then face to face with reality. And so we're able to look past all the signs. We're able to look past all the images of this world. We're able to look back past all the falsity of this world and see the real world. The real world of love. The real world of oneness. The real world of grace. We're able to look past the foolishness. Past all of the absolute insanity that is speaking first and speaking loud and trying to get our attention and trying to get our allegiance. And it has had our allegiance. Now we make a decision for the light and the light only. It says, who could feel fear in such a world as this? In such a world of what? As oneness and love and beauty and awareness. Who could feel fear where there's innocence? Who could feel fear where there's radiant aliveness and hope? Who could feel fear where there is blessed perfection and charity and love? Who could feel fear? It welcomes you. Welcome to the real world. It welcomes you. Rejoices that you came and sings your praises as it keeps you safe from every form of danger and of pain. That's what real seeing does for you. It keeps you from every form. Notice now, every form of danger and pain. It offers you a warm and gentle home in which to stay a while. It blesses you throughout the day and watches through the night as silent guardian of your holy sleep. This is what true perception does for us. This is what seeing through God's eyes does for us. This is what having the mind of Christ does for us. It sees salvation in you and in everyone. It protects the light in you, in which it sees its own self. Because what is reflected is what you are. You are the light. We are the light. It offers you its flowers and its snow in thankfulness with your benevolence. This is what true perception does for us. This is what correct seeing will do for you. It's how it will make you feel. This is what the love of God brings forth anew, all things new, a new world, a new vision, shining in innocence radiant aliveness. This is what can be seen now. This is what is present right now. The presence of the Lord is everywhere present, and it's right now. And you can feel the love of God within you right now through right seeing. Through right seeing. This is the world the love of God reveals. And this is what we've been moving up the ladder of awareness, up the ladder of God consciousness. We are at day 189 in the workbook lesson. But we've probably been together 200 days because we've done part 1 and part 2 on some of these. So for about 200 days, we've been together. We've been building on this awareness. We've been building on our knowing. We've been building on having a direct experience of who we really are as one with God, as being a shared being with God and with every living thing. And coming to see a world that is filled with the fullness of God right now, not in the future, not in the past, but only can be seen in this present moment. Love is only now. Who you really are is only in this present moment. Who God is only present now, right now. In this holy instant. In this very moment. Forget about every other moment. What about now? This is the only thing that we can do something about. How are we seeing now? What are we perceiving now? This is the only thing that matters. Your past doesn't matter. Your timeline doesn't matter. Your personal history, it doesn't matter. Your affiliations to religion or politics or to your allegiance to a group or an organization, it does not matter. The only thing that matters is here and now. How are you seeing now? How are you feeling now? How are you perceiving right now? That's the only thing that matters. The only thing. So we lay aside the past. We don't even think about the future. It is not even to come. That's only now. We lay all anxiety about the future, lay it aside for this moment, just for this lesson. Let's do that. And let's see what happens. It says, this is the world the love of God reveals right now. It is it said, it is so different from the world that you see through darkened eyes of malice and of fear, that one belies the other. One is so different from the other. The world that is revealed through the love of God is so opposed to malice and fear, which is what most of us have engaged in terms of how we perceive this world. Only one can be perceived at all. Remember, we started this whole course saying the course at its foundation makes a fundamental difference between the real and the unreal, as though there's two options. And here is saying that there is only one can be perceived at all, because one is real and the other one is unreal. So what he's saying is that which is unreal can't be perceived at all. So we would have to be in a dream-like, a fantasy, an imagining state of mind, to be seeing a world of separation, a world of malice and fear and hatred and separation and division. And it's there for us to look at. It's there for what we've almost have experienced all our life. But now the real world is being shown to us through the love of God, because we have made a shift in our perception. And what we're saying is there's only one option. The other one, the unreal, is fading away. The unreal is coming to an end. And so we don't want to give any credence to it. And it's so. It says the other one is wholly meaningless. A world of separation is meaningless. A world in which forgiveness shines on everything and peace offers its gentle light to everyone is inconceivable to those who see a world of hatred rising from attack, poised to avenge, to murder, and to destroy. And those are all the signs and symbols of this false world, always identifying and communicating to us. Like it says here, always trying to communicate to us hatred and attack and revenge and murder and destruction, sickness and disease and pain and death. Those are the images of the false world. Those are the images of one that looks not through the lens of love, but looks through the lens of an ego thought system that was birthed out of, again, a thought of separation that created this false perception, this false self. Yet is the world of hatred equally unseen and unconceivable to those who feel God's love in them. So once you embrace the love of God, once you shift and now give your full allegiance to Christ's vision, to seeing the love of God through reality, he said it's inconceivable for you to see that and see the other. Because one is so antithetical to the other. One is so opposed to the other. There's not two choices. The world would make you think that there's two choices or that is a choice at all. But in reality, there is no choice. That which God created remain as it is. And if what God created is real, that means that everything that's opposed to it is not. So we would have to go into a dream and dream of being exiled, dream of being prodigal, dream of being separate from God and each other, dream of creating a world where there's full separation, which is what we've done, which is the experience that we're having. But when we wake up to the reality of the oneness that we share, and that oneness has no opposites, we are not only able, but we take that step, shift our perception, and we begin to see heaven. We begin to see the real world. We begin to see ourselves as we truly are. We begin to see God as he truly is. We begin to see our neighbor as they truly are. We begin to see all living things as one thing that we all share. And so this change doesn't happen outside. It happens within us. It says this light is within us, and it can't be perceived by the world. So there has to be an awakening in order to see this. There has to be an awakening in your life. There has to be a recognition. And the recognition can only come through the truth. Faith comes by hearing. Hearing comes by the truth, by the word of God, by every thought of God. So how will they hear unless someone speak? And how would one speak unless he can teach? And how can one teach unless he's sent? That's why I'm here. That's why many are here. So it says, their world reflects the quietness and the peace that shines in them, in gentleness and in innocence. You know, this word innocence keeps coming up. Why? Because it's the truth. You are innocent, and so is everyone else. No exclusion. Innocent in terms of what God created. In dreams of separation. No, you're guilty as hell. All of us. Because that's what the dream of separation is. It's a dream of guilt. But it's not real. It's a dream. But when you wake up from it, you wake up into your innocence that you always been. That's why you have to wake up from the dream, because the dream is a nightmare. A dream of lack and scarcity and poverty and sickness and death and wars and fighting and diseases. And every opposition that you can think about. That's what's in the world of separation. And you can wake up in it and realize you're not of it. But you're still aware of it. But you're aware that it's not true. But you're aware that it's not real. But you're aware that it's not what? It is not your home. I'm kind of feeling myself today. Why? Because I'm feeling the love of God that is within me now. Yesterday we talked about the peace of God that is shining in us now. Now I'm talking about the love of God that is what? In me now. So to feel is to see. And to see is to have God's vision. And God's vision is everywhere present. You just can't serve two masters. You can't visualize God and visualize the ego thought system. You can't visualize love and fear at the same time. You can only do one or the other. You can't have two thoughts at the same time. You got to think one or the other. So this is all about thought reversal, thought discipline. Remember, this whole course is about what? Changing our perception, changing the way we think and how we think. Because the way we've been taught to think by the world, we have been conformed to this world's way of thinking. And it only has brought about pain and suffering, trepidation, fear, anguish, anxiety. Look at it and what's going on in it. Notice now you can look at it and not know you're not of it, but you look at it and you see the results of it. So we're here to be the light that there is a different world. It's called the love of God. And that's what we reflect in our life now, that we have awakened to the truth. It says that their world reflect the quietness. What world? The world of those that see through the eyes of God. It says their world reflect quietness, peace that shines in them, the gentleness and the innocence they see surrounding them, the joy with which they look out from the endless wells of joy within. Notice now the joy, it comes from within, not from without. In the false world, or in the world that we made, joy comes from without, and there is no joy without. That's why it says enjoy. The word is enjoy. Enjoy. See, joy comes from within, not from without. Nothing comes from without. When it's without, it's evident of what we saw within. It's evidence of what we saw within. Remember, that which is seen. It says that which is seen is not that which as it does appear. And so it says, what they have felt in them, they now look upon. What you feel, you will look upon. What you think, you will eventually look upon. Everything that you've ever experienced, you have experienced it because you first thought it. And now you look upon what you think. That's why it's important to think correctly. It says, and see its sure reflection everywhere. So when you and I embrace the reality of the love of God to the point that it becomes our seeing, it will become our feeling, and then we will reflect that seeing and feeling. We will reflect it in the world that we see. And it said we will reflect it everywhere. So what is your life reflecting? Is it reflecting fear, or is your life reflecting the love of God? Ask yourself the question. I ask myself the question every day. Is this thought, this idea that I'm thinking, is it reflecting God? Is it reflecting oneness? Is what I'm about to say, if what I'm about to do, is it reflecting the love of God? I ask myself that question. And it keeps me centered, or it gets me back centered when I feel as though I'm allowing this false perception to sneak back in or leak back in. I ask myself the question, does this reflect the light that I am? And if it doesn't, it helps me make decisions very easily. It's what I'm about to say. It's what I'm thinking. If you don't ask yourself these questions, if you don't pause and ask yourself the question, is what I'm thinking the thoughts of God? It's what I'm getting ready to say. Is it the thought of God? It's what I'm being. It's what I'm reflecting. Is it reflecting the light that I am? And if it's not, I shift. You have to shift. Shift has to happen. It's a part of the awakening experience that we're always shifting. We're always adjusting. Why? Because, we still, have residual of an ego thought system that we're still trying to break completely away from. The residual shows up in the way we think, in the way we perceive sometimes, and we know it immediately. We know it's not love. Whereas in the past, we don't even aware that there was another option. We thought this was the way of the world because we were conformed to the world. But now we know we can make a different decision. We can make a quality decision. We can make a committed decision. One moment. And so we do. That's the power of choice. And we exercise that power so that we discipline the mind to not to be this, undisciplined force that causes us to not be loving. So it says, what would you see? Or what would you like to see? What would you love? Who would you love to represent? How would you like to show up in the world every day? What would make you absolutely blow your mind? What would absolutely cause you to say, yes, I love myself? It is the knowing of your true self that would. And to know your true self is to know God and you are one. That's what it is. It says, so what would you see? The choice is given to you. It's your choice. And it's your choice to choose for happiness, to choose for the will of God, to choose for the wisdom of God, the love of God. That's what the choice is given to you, to choose for that. Because that's the only real option. That's the only real life. That is the source of your life. That is your very life. That is your very existence. God trusts you so much for you to choose for life. He didn't make you a robot, but he gave you the will to choose for the one will that exists. Because every time we choose for the other will, which is nothing, we keep cycling back on this wheel of nothingness. We keep coming back again and again, reliving life over and over again in this false illusion till we finally say there must be a better way. There must be something I don't know. This, I can't handle I can't handle much more of this suffering. So what would you see? What choice is given you? But learn and do. This is what you would see, and this is the choice to learn and do. To learn and do not let mind forget the law of seeing. Don't forget the law of seeing. You will look upon that which you feel within. That's the law of seeing. What you feel within is what you're going to look upon. And that's why you need to know that the love of God, that the light of God is in you now, and that you feel that love within you now. You see it, you feel it, you perceive it. It is your choice. This is the law of seeing. He says, you will look upon that which you feel within. If hatred finds a place within your heart, you will perceive a fearful world. That's what the world going to reflect back to you. If all you see is fear and hatred within your heart, that's what Jesus meant when he said, out of the abundance of the heart. He said, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. It flows what you see, what you experience. And everything that you have experienced in life, it came out of your heart. And when I said came out of the heart, it came out of the heart that you chose. You have chosen. We either choose love or we choose hate. We choose love or we choose fear. What are you seeing within? And why are you seeing that? Why aren't you seeing the innocence that you are, the love that we share? Why? It has to do with the way we think, the way we've been conformed by this world. If hatred finds a place within your heart, you will perceive a fearful world, a world that is held cruelly in death's sharp pointed, bony finger. If we withhold within our heart fear and hatred, we will see cruelty and death in this world. It says, if you feel the love of God within you, you will look out on a world of mercy and a world of love just by what you perceive. But we want to go beyond what you perceive. We want to go and transcend this world to the world of truth, the world of knowing, the world of reality, the world of eternity. So that you come to know without a shadow of a doubt who you are and your true identity. Because what you come to know will what you come to feel and will become what you come to see. So true life is within, it's not without. And so today we pass all illusions. We look past all the hatred. We look past all the cruelty. We look past all the division and strife and war and fighting and sickness and disease and lack. We look past all of that because we know all that was born out of a false thought, a false idea. And we look to reality, which is within us. We look to the light that is within all of us. And we pass all the illusions of this world. And we seek to reach for what is true in us and feel its all-embracing tenderness, its love, which knows us perfect as itself, its sight, which is the gift its love bestowed upon all of us. We learn the way today. It is as sure as love itself, to which it carries us, for its simplicity avoids the snares, the foolish convolutions of the world's apparent reasoning, but serve to hide from us. So today, we look within at the light that is within all of us. And it's all embracing tenderness. It's all embracing love. That love that is perfect as its very own self. We look at the innocence that's within all of us. We look at what God created that has never changed in all of us. We look at the simplicity of life. That's what we do today in our practice. And we simply do this. We're going to be still and lay aside all thoughts of what we are and what God is. We're going to really strip it down to the bare. So we're going to be still and lay aside all thoughts of what we are and what God is. All of them. All concepts that we have learned about the world. All images that we hold about ourselves. We're going to empty our mind of everything that we think is either true or false, of good or bad, of every thought it judges worthy, and all the ideas of which it is ashamed. We're going to lay it all aside today and hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought the past has taught, nor one belief you ever learned before from anything. So we're going to enter into this holy moment right now. Not bringing anything with us. Every thought, every idea, we lay it aside for this moment. We're going to forget this world as we've known it. We're going to forget this course that we're going through, even the Course in Miracles. We're going to forget even what the Bible says. We're going to forget what the Quran says. We're going to forget what Buddha said or anyone that has said. Every philosopher, every world. In this moment right now, we're going to forget it all. We're going to leave it all aside. We're just going to enter into this moment and come with holy, empty hands into our God. Into our God. This moment, not hanging on to one thought or one idea. We're just going to lay it bare. We're just going to enter into the presence. Can we do that today? Oh, yes, we can. It is not he who knows the way to you, or is it not he that knows the way to you? In this present moment, without anything, without any past, we just stripped ourselves down to this present moment. Is it not God who knows the way to us? We need not know the way to God. Our part is simply to allow all obstacles that we have interposed between us and God to be quietly removed forever. Everything that we have ever placed, every block that we've ever placed between us and our Creator, we're just going to simply allow those obstacles to be removed. So there is no block. And we don't need a course or a Bible or a religion or a world. We don't need anything for that to happen. All we need is a willingness to allow it to happen. And we're going to allow it to happen today. We'll allow it to happen in this very moment. So it's just our Creator and us, without one thought, knowing that our Creator knows how to embrace us. We may not know how to embrace the Creator, but the Creator knows how to embrace us. God will do his part in joyful and immediate response. We but ask and receive that every obstacle be removed that we have placed in between us. Not only in between us and God, but each other. But do not make demands, nor point the road to God by which he should appear to us. The way to reach God is merely to let God be. For in that way is our reality proclaimed as well. Just let us be. And so today we do not choose the way in which we go to God, but we do choose to let God come. And with this choice, we rest. And in our quiet hearts and open minds, his love will blaze its pathway of itself. What has not denied, or what has not been denied, is surely there, if it is but true and can be surely reached. God knows his son and knows the way to him. He does not need his son to show him how to find his way. Through every opened door, his love shines outward from its home within and lighten up the world in innocence. So today, as we practice the reality of the love of God that we feel within us now, we ask and we have received the complete oneness that we share. The light that is in us is but the reflection of the loving Father and the love of God that we are. And so we end today's lesson with this prayer. Father, we do not know the way to you, but we have called and you have answered us. We will not interfere. Salvation's ways are not our own, for they belong to you, and it is unto you we look for them. Our hands are open to receive your gifts. We have no thought we think apart from you, and cherish no beliefs of what we are or who created us. Yours is the way that we would find and follow. And we ask but that your will, which is our own as well, be done in us and in the world, that it become a part of heaven now. And so it is. And we're going to leave it right there. Nothing else needs to be said. God is, and there is nothing else. We have left it all to the Father. We have just said yes to the reality that our Father knows the way and knows how to make every step that is to be made. And so we just rest in that assurance. So have a great day. And know that you feel the love of God within you. That is what you feel. And that is what you will see. Selah.